all so much for being here with us and being on time, loving that attitude. And I will be passing the hosting to our host, Saravanan, who will be hosting the session that will be conducted by our lovely speaker, Pricilla. So our lovely host, Saravanan, the virtual stage is now yours. Take it away.
Thank you very much, Daniel, and thanks for hosting from the day one and keep us engaged as well as the participants. Right, so I'm the host for another couple of sessions, guys. So please feel free to update or ask your questions in the comment section. I mean Q&A section. So I will make sure that we are getting the answers from our presenter today. Okay. So yeah. So far, I mean, it is all about the Codeless Conference 2022. So as a part of conference, so we have Pricilla today to talk about the topic called Let It Flow, right? So we were seeing multiple automation side like a UI, API, database on the desktop side, right? So Pricilla, she comes with along like a 10 plus years of experience in the industry, and she is currently working as a QA, a lead test engineer, and she has some other title also. So she is like an ambassador or supernova user of the Postman, and she is a part of AWS community builder as well, and she is a global ambassador for a Women Tech Network, right? So there are a lot of titles she holds, and she will be I mean, you can see everywhere in around the LinkedIn, Twitter, all the social medias, right? I mean, that means her contribution to the community it's really commendable. Okay, and I really appreciate that that you are doing for the community, right? So yeah, I mean, we can get into the topic. So yes, welcome you all again, and welcome the presenter today. Yes, Priscilla, the stage is yours. You can go from here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Arun, and thank you so much for this wonderful introduction. So it was nice being here today. I know you have all planned to spend your Sunday with us, which is very special. So just give me a minute. I'll try to share my screen. Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. So yeah, as the name goes, so the topic of the session is just let it flow. So what is the purpose of that? We'll just get to know more about once I just navigate through each of the slides what I have it for you today. So yeah, he already gave a very good introduction about me, and so this is I'm just adding up to that. As you all know, yeah, of course you can call me Pricilla. My full name is Pricilla Bilavendran, and currently I work as a team leader and taking care of API testing team, which is with me. And my top roles are like, of course, I'm a mom of a 4-year-old, and I'm a postman supernova, and I do evangelize Postman and AWS products as well, since I'm part of both of them. And other than that, I'm a certified mentor with a mentoring club as well, wherein like I used to spend my free time. I used to talk with the many budding engineers, test engineers especially, and so that keeps me lively, I would say. So it's a good opportunity to connect with them, right? So this is pretty much about me. And when it comes to today's agenda, yeah, so what I have for you all today is like, this is going to be the flow. So first we will just speak about API automation, and yeah, specifically regarding Postman, like how it is working, because why that term as such is like, many people, when you ask or when you communicate with them externally, they'll all say like, yeah, I have used Postman, but I use Postman for my manual testing of APIs, and I use some other frameworks or tools for automating APIs. So that there was a gap, right? So you should might be a lack of awareness. So we should educate people like there is an option for doing an end-to-end automation of APIs using Postman, and there are you don't need to code much as well. So that's the beauty of that. So I'll explain a bit more about it, and just a few minutes of introduction over that area, and then we'll skip on to like the heart of the story. Like the topic is like flows. What is it all about? In all of your latest install Postman tools, you might have seen that, like in the pane, left side pane, you might have seen that. Some people might have already started exploring that and just to see what is that. And some people are like, still, I don't know what's that. Maybe it's not for me. You might have just skipped it on. So maybe today it's a time we'll just go through that. What is it all about? Some way, some people will really like that. Okay. So I'll just explain what is a flow and how does the building blocks of flow is going to be like, because flows are made up of multiple blocks. So I'll try to explain how does in every block and what is what does every block is going to do. And then a specific scenario. So Priscilla, you already said that Postman is capable of doing an API automation. And where does this flow is going to fit in picture? What is it all going to do? So how it is related to API automation. So when and where and how to use flows. I'll tell that as well. And then finally, I'll show you a live demo. And I have made two workflows as well to show it to you, to showcase that. I'll tell you the difference. What is the difference between when you write a code and when you use without no code using flows. So this is all it's going to be today's session. And finally, you will have your time. I hope you will have your time to ask your questions. And once that is answered, then I think our host will take it for a quiz. Okay. So this is all it's going to be for today's agenda. So I think I prepped you enough. So let's get into the topic. And yeah, API automation. It's one of the limelight topic, I would say, in recent times. Everywhere you can see about API. So what is actually sudden purpose or the sudden importance of APIs? Have you ever thought about it? My personal feeling is like many people or many organizations have started too much, or they have started thinking about API first. The companies are being drifted to API first. What is API first? It's nothing but first you develop your APIs and then you come up with your platform. If you see in past days, when you take about Facebook or Twitter, eBay, Flickr, I believe most of them are like in 2000s, they started their APIs. Before that, it was an application, trust me. And only in 2006, post 2006, I believe, they started all their developing their APIs. So what is the disadvantages? Like once you have your platform and once you have your APIs, there are some restrictions, or there are some capabilities where you have to align between them. But when you are drifting towards your API first approach, you first develop your APIs, okay, and then you might go for your testing, and then you will go ahead with your front end and your platform decision makings. So this is very helpful in terms of your cost. Of course, that plays a very important role. And then it comes to your time, budget, and your in fact overall the efficiency as well as much better. The scalability is also good. So based on that, many companies are moving towards API automation. So keeping that in mind, Postman is also offering the API automation process as such. You don't want to go or do something, or you don't want to even write lines of code even. So that's the beauty of it. So how do we usually do API automation? Is like, first we usually create collections. Collections are nothing but adding multiple requests which has been collated or categorized under a simple or a same category, and then I'll be calling that as a collection. So multiple requests. So why do I combine all these requests? Because once I combine them, I give an option for them to communicate between themselves. So A request can communicate with B and B can communicate with C. So in that way, inside a collection, they can have an easy way of communication. And then I'll be adding assertions. Assertions are nothing but the test cases which I have to validate. And you don't want to write anything from scratch. Okay, so that is where the ready-made snippets are available in Postman. So you can directly use those ready-made snippets and you can write your assertions as well. And chaining of multiple requests. How do we do that? We have a concept called variables. Okay. So using that variable, we will be chaining the request from A to B, and then the data has been actually been passed on through. So it is like a kind of a communication between the different requests. That's how variable plays a role. And then we will be creating completely that as a test suite. Test suite is nothing but you actually trying to run that as a singular collection. A collection as such is going to run for you. And we have an option for integrating that with the any of your repositories like GitLab or GitHub or Bitbucket, right? You have an option to integrate with them. So what is the purpose of integrating with them? So if I make any change in my collection or my test cases, even my API endpoints are getting changed, all of the changes are automatically be backed up to my repo, and I can actually set up any of my CI/CD from my repo so that it will be a complete automated process. So this is how traditionally we were or we are doing in Postman. So this actually saves a lot of your time. I'll just show you. Just give me a minute. So this is how every request will look like, right? So under this test section, you have an option to add your ready-made snippets, and based on your ready-made snippets. So see, you don't want to even memorize anything. Maybe once you use the application for a long time, you might get used to that. So you can add your test cases, and to run it as a collection, you just have to click the collection level, and you have an option to run the collection. So once you run the collection, automatically every request is being run in the same sequence which you have provided inside the collection. If you want to change the sequence, of course, it is also possible. You just have to use the pm.setNextRequest method. So this is a very minimal level of coding, and I believe like all of you are aware or that we can write the customized code in Postman using JavaScript under these two sections. Okay. So under prerequisite script and under test script, these are the two sections where you can write your customized code using JavaScript in Postman. So basic for a basic level of testing, this is enough for me. So I can add my existing scripts or existing assertions, and I can just do the collection runner. And as I mentioned, the GitLab integration or the GitHub integration, you can just do to in the home page, you have an option called integrations, and if you click on that, you have an option for just click browse all integrations. You will have a lot of tools here. So every tool is capable of doing specific functionalities. If you take this Bitbucket, GitHub, and GitLab, they are mostly for storing. So you can actually take the backup of your collections. So all your collections will be stored as a JSON format here. And when it comes to the Circle CI or some other tools, no, even for this Azure DevOps or some tools having a different purpose. Some tools are used for monitoring and some are for building the API pipeline. So once I develop my API here, once I automatically integrate to my CI/CD, I have an option to do that. So I'm not writing any set of codes over here. So the application as such is providing me the options wherein I'm just going to click and do a one-time setup. That's it. So once my one-time setup is done, if you see, for example, I have actually integrated with GitLab. So what it will happen is like the exact space or the project, and I have actually configured my GitLab access token here. And once the integration is set, automatically what is this collection which I selected, right? That will be backed up whenever I do some changes, and that will be backed up and that will be stored in GitLab. So anytime if my Jenkins script is referring to that repo, it can obviously select the latest build and it can just start running those test cases and provide me the report. So that is the ultimate goal of it. You don't want to do any sort of manual work here. So that's the beauty of this integration. So I think we are good enough to talk about these things. So what happens is like this is how the traditional API automation flow works in Postman. And suddenly they were talking about something called flows. So it was a new topic, and last year around September or October, I believe they released this beta feature, and it was a very good they got a lot of good feedbacks about it. So already they have a very minimalized code approach for your automation, and suddenly what is the use of this flows? So there was a difference because even though you have you are required to have a minimal knowledge of writing your JavaScript code, sometimes you have to write it extensively in some cases where you have to handle any sort of business logic. Okay, so what they thought is about like, so to avoid that business logic and to increase the usage of automation for Postman, this flows is introduced. So I'll walk you through, even if you haven't explored it before, just to there is nothing to get scared, and it was actually pretty good and simple enough. You might have seen Beth Marshall's blog about flows, because she started evangelizing about flows, and just because hearing this Codeless conference, even that resonated with me, and that's how I started working on this, and I thought of giving you the information whatever I have. So you might have heard this quote somewhere. So going with the flow is a kind of journey that everyone should try once. I would always relate that to Postman flows. So trying flows, if you are a Postman user, please do give it a try at least once. So you will definitely love it. So this is the basic slide. So I just want you to have a bit good understanding here. Okay. So when we start flows, the basic thing which should come to your mind is like, it is actually codeless. You are not going to write any code over here. Okay. Maybe we'll start with this way. Okay. It's actually codeless, and then it's free. Yeah, even in the paid or even in the free version, free plan of Postman, you are free to use flows and you can explore that. Okay. And then of course it's a beta feature. It's still not yet completely released to production. They are working on the constant feedbacks and improving the flows application as such. Okay. And then it comes about, for both web and desktop, flows are available, and we also call it as like API workflow builder, and it is based on flow based programming paradigm. So this is what you should ideally remember. Flow based programming, there are many programming paradigms, right? So what is this flow based programming is like, you have to, initially this was actually coined by Paul Rodker Morrison in late 60s. So it was built mostly towards for the factory approaches, wherein like all the networks are made up of black box processes. So that's how they actually started. And it is actually an asynchronous concurrent process. It is under the covers. So once you start playing through flows, you will really understand how does it related with flow-based programming paradigm language as well. So I'll try to share after the session. I'll share you the important links as well to go through and to have more understanding, a better understanding about the flow-based programming paradigm. Okay, so this is the introduction part. I believe right now you guys are still following me. So you got a basic understanding what is a flow right now. So let's see. So how to access flows in your workspace? Okay, it's actually tied up to a workspace. Okay, so for every workspace you will have this tab which is called flows, and once you click on that, you have an option to create a new flow, and that's how you will start building your flow. Okay, so what is a block? So now you understood what is a flow, right? Then next topic or the next term which you should be aware of is like block. What is a block? A block, every flow. Okay, every flow, when you call it as a flow, you are going to build it as an API workflow builder. Okay, in a canvas. So to build that, you need different blocks which is going to perform different actions. So that is how we call it as block. So we need different set of blocks. So every flow is built based upon n number of blocks based upon your project requirement or based upon your use case, because every use case will have the usage of different blocks. And so this is, of course, I mentioned earlier. So every block will perform some predefined actions, how the block is defined based on that. And it starts executing. Yeah. So every block will start running once it gets the data from the input, and all the inbuilt blocks are listed in the flows. So once you click on the add block itself, it will list you all the possible blocks. So you should keep one thing here in mind is like, since this is a beta version, it's actually adding and deleting. Most of the revamping things are happening here. So right now, few options, which if you have already tried flows, few options have already been deprecated, but just don't feel about it. Once they are deprecating it, they are coming up with a very good solution or a very good replacement for that. So it's a kind of I said, right, it's a constant continuous improvement process. So what you have to keep in mind is like these blocks which I'm going to explain might be even expired or deprecated when you are going to do your hands-on, but you will have a notification over there instead of that what you can use as well. So don't worry about it. So right now just try to understand what is a block, why are we going to use a block, every block, what is the purpose of every single block. That is what you just need to worry about it right now. Okay. So this is how an anatomy of a block will look like. If you see, this is a block, this is a box of a block. So number one, here you will have your name of the block. And number two, this will tell you the run state, which is a run state of your block. And here you can actually expand and see the configuration and information of every block. And here these three dots is actually the options. And this is the required input and this is the optional input. So actually this this block is having two inputs, but it's not necessary, right? Say for example, when you're concatenating or when you're merging, you might need two input blocks. But when it is just going to be a send request or just to have a terminal a test or test summary, just a single block is enough. Single input port is enough. So this is how input port is coming into picture, and this is actually your configuration part. Whatever configuration I'm going to do, it will be inside this body here. And here this is actually called as output port, and this number 9 is going to be my signal input, whether it is an on state or not, and this is going to be my signal output. So this is how every block will look like, an anatomy of a block, just to give you a clear understanding of a block. And what are the types of blocks? Yeah, so before getting into the types of blocks, I want you to understand that they develop flows to avoid the writing of JavaScript code. So that users don't have any programming language knowledge can also start using or start automating their APIs using Postman. That's the ultimate goal of it, right? So keeping that in mind, they are keep on adding this block. So say for example, if you take this for each number 7, instead of writing a traditional for loop or a for each loop, I can go ahead and use this block, which will actually iterate. If I just define which part to iterate, it will actually iterate to me till the array is complete. So that's the beauty of this. So every possible way to avoid our manual way of adding code, right? To avoid that, they're actually keep on adding these blocks. So right now we have 13 valid blocks. So if I start with, it's called check. So what is this check block will do is like check block will accept the input sources from two places, okay, and then it'll give me an option to write an expression. And finally, if that is passing through, the expression is passing through, like expression is very simple, right? Anybody can write an expression, a less than b or equal to. It'll be a very simple expression based on your path and your expression and your value. That's how it is going to be. So based on that, whether it is passing or failing, it'll just like burns the data. Like if it is passing, it'll actually spit out the data. If not, it'll just fail and it'll just burn the data. That is the purpose of check block. And concatenate is like, as the word says, of course, it is like more towards like appending an element to a list to create a new list. Okay, they have an option to remove it in future. Okay, because they are just thinking about more versatile stream processing blocks. So it might be deprecated very sooner. And condition is, of course, it is a bit similar to check, but condition block will have two output ports. Like one it is like, if it is true, do this work. If it is false, do this work. So accept and reject port will be there in condition. And for create data is like nothing but when you have an option to create a complex data. Say for example, in array, if you have a bigger array and you want to filter that array, you can actually select, like pick these data. Say for example, if my array is having first name, last name, ID, and all those things, I'm just giving an instruction, just filter name and alone, just using the name, create a list for me. So this way you can just create a subset from your complex test data. So that's the purpose of create data. And create durables is nothing but you're making it durable. You might have, if you have already used variables in Postman, you know that. So if you have to make that data persist across the multiple connected blocks, you can create a durable so that the data can persist across. Okay, that's the purpose of creating a durable. And the next one is like delay. Yeah, it is very simple, which is equivalent to set timeout in JavaScript. Instead of setting timeout for milliseconds, I'm just going to add a delay block, which is going to hold the execution for me for a fixed duration. That's it. And then comes for each, which we know as like, which can be used as a loop to iterate over a list. Okay. And then I have group by. So what is group by is going to do is like, group by will actually generate a new list, okay, based on my input data. It will generate a new another list grouping together, and it will actually give that as an output. So that's the purpose of group by. And the next one is list pop. List pop is also like one of the array function. We use many array functions to handle the arrays in Java, like push, pop, and all those things, right? So the same way, list pop is actually used to get the last element in your list. Okay, so now I believe you are actually getting into the real part. So whatever things which you are writing your JavaScript snippets to handle some sort of special code or special logic, they are avoiding that, and just to make your work easy, that is actually being added as a block. Okay. And the next one is also, yeah, quite similar. And this is actually being used to recursively merge two records into a single record. So we'll have a target and we'll have a source, and that will actually combine me and make it a new record for me. Okay. And what is next is like, after merge, it is send request. Okay, send request is typically the name, as such the name, it's going to do the work. So once you click the send request block, you have to pick which request from the workspace you have to hit a send. So based on that, send request will also work here. And terminal is nothing but which is related to console. If you are already using console in your Postman application, it is similarly using to console. And test summary is nothing but your test cases. What are the test cases I have added to my request, right? Because when you are running as a single request, you have an option to see your test cases under the test section. But when you are actually running through flows, how will you validate those test results? You can actually add your test summary block, which will actually display you all the test cases for that request, whether it is passed or failed. That's it. So the test cases approach is mostly going to stay the same. Whatever test cases you want to add, you can go ahead and keep on adding to your request, or to your request you have a test section, right? You can go ahead and keep on adding to that. But when it comes to handling a complex JavaScript code, instead of writing that in your test or prerequisite section, prescript section, it is better to handle through flows. That is the ideology behind that. Okay. So after seeing the different types of blocks, this is how the flow will be. So what I will be doing is like, once I'll open the workflow builder. So after that, you will have a different options to add on different blocks. So once that is done, I'll be adding all the necessary blocks based on my request or my flow. And then I'll be clicking on the run the flow. That's it. This is how the actual flow will work on. Okay. So now I'll say when you should use flows. Okay, when you're actually trying to run it as a collection runner, because many people will have this question. I'm actually using collection runner. I'm good with that. And why do I need to use flows? When you're using collection runner, you can actually mix and match, or you can actually communicate with the request only in that collection, right? But when it comes to flows, you can actually communicate and hit request, or you can actually use all the requests inside that workspace across the collections. So that is one advantage of using flows. And the second one is like, when as I was iterating from the beginning, it was similar to writing some tough JavaScript assertions or code snippets. You can just start using these blocks of flows, and you will get to know which block has to be used when. And you can actually develop a flow which is very simple across the workspace. Say for example, you are using a team workspace, okay, and in the team workspace you have multiple collections for multiple applications, and you can actually set a health check flow, wherein like once that flow is actually passing every run, you can actually go ahead and execute the different collections or different test cases. So that can actually be used as a monitor, like a health check. And also you can use the same flows to write your smoke and regression test cases as well across the collection. It'll communicate with a different request, and you can just build it in one time. So right now you can just do your flows and save it. The data is not going to be persisted. So once you close it, you'll be losing the data, like in the sense your console and your test summary report. So in future they are planning to work on that as well. I'll let you know what are the future plans for them. So okay, enough of the theory. Okay, I'll take you to my demo. So first I'll start with an basic here. So this is how we will be navigating to. So once you open your workspace, click flows here. Okay, come to this tab, and you can actually click on new here, or you can actually create a flow here. Okay, you can do either ways, or you can just click the flow here and click on this plus icon as well. Either ways it will work. So create a new flow. It'll default be named as new flow. And this is how the canvas will look like, guys. If you see, it will give you a feel like as if you are building something so much efficient. So this is the beauty of this canvas as such. So if you see, you have a start block which is defaultly added, but it is not mandatory. It will work without even a start block. So you have an option for in here to zoom in and zoom out as well. Okay, and if you're not, or if you're unclear about it, you can go for this fit view as well. And this is clicking on this orange start button will actually start the workflow. And for adding every block, you can actually start from the output port as well, or you can actually add this individual block, and you can just try to integrate this block with this block as well. So it'll work either ways. And this is for annotations. Annotations are, it supports markdown. So based on your workflow or documentation, if you want to add any details in here, because when you're totally new, it's fine. But when your team is also started using it, you might have built a very, very big workflow wherein like you want to explicitly make someone understand, like say, this is what I have done here. This is what I have done here. So all the annotations you can mark, and you can let people know to understand your flows better. So that's the purpose of that. Okay. And so you have an option to delete as well. If you are doing every block, if I'm adding this block, I have an option for deleting that block as well. And so even this delete will work, or even your normal delete button from your keyboard will also work for that. Okay. Basics about flows. And as I mentioned, yeah, so here if you click on this eye icon, you will be seeing your flow ID, and you can add your description. Say for example, this flow was built for the purpose of this and so and so. So you can give your description here. And then you have an option for your terminal. As I mentioned, it is similar to console. So, but for flows, they are making it distinguished, because inside flows, we will be adding many requests, right? So initially I'll be using a get, then it might come to a post. So different requests will be there. So I can actually use different different terminals for different request as well. And also when it comes to the test cases, this is how the test summary will look like. All my test cases, whether it is passing or failing, it will be listed over here. This is how it will be. Okay, I think this is the basic explanation of the look and feel of flows. Okay, and if you have anything, maybe I'll take the questions later. And right now I'll just go through with the existing flow I have made on. So this flow. So before getting into the explanation of how I built it, okay, I'll let you know, if you have already been familiarized with this 30 days of challenge, it's well and good. If not, I will tell what I'm going to do now. So this was one of the challenge which a challenge collection, base collection, which was actually working out pretty well for all the new people who are using Postman. So what are we going to do here is like, in that collection, we have an option called day 11. There is an option which is called as monitoring here. So what is the purpose of doing that is like, I have 2 requests inside that. Okay, so this is a use case, guys. Just get the use case. So once you understand the use case, then you will be really it'll be easy for you to understand how I have built that flow. So this is a use case. There are 2 requests. Get request is like, should I water the plants? And there is a post request whether it should actually water the plant. There is just 2 requests. Okay, so if you see, what it has to do is like, I have to add a JavaScript basic code here to make it work. If the water level is less than 0.60, it has to go ahead and click the next request. Okay, this is the basic requirement of the collection, even for my use case or your test case, it may be. So you have a test case where you need to check if this is less than 60, it has to execute the second request, else not. Okay, so what will I do in real time? It is I have to just actually write some basic code over here under the first request, and I have to run it as a collection so that it will work it together. So what I have done is like, I have actually passed the response and store it as a variable. And before that, I'll show you how does the response look like. So this is how the response will look like. Every response will have a water level value, and it's a dynamic value. Every run, it will throw me a dynamic value. So right now for this dummy API, the value level is like 80. The level is by 80.767. So what I have written is here, if it is like 0.60, it has to run this method, like the next request, post what are the plants, this request it has to run. If not, it has to set it as null. So if it is less than 60, it will actually water the plant. If it is if this condition is passing, it will get through here. If this condition is failing, it will automatically set it as null, in the sense stop the iteration. That's it. It will stop the. This is a very basic JavaScript annotation I have just written here for this validation. So the same level of validation, how we will build it in flows, I will show that to you. Okay. So I have named my flow as watering the plants. Okay. What I have done is like, I have actually given a start block here, and my second block is like send request, wherein like I'm picking the first request. If you guys remember, first one is like, should I water the plants? And the second one is like, water the plant, right? It's a post request. So I'm just hitting my first get request here. So I have added a data which is called durable. If you guys remember, durable is nothing but similar to variable, which will be carried along the entire execution of this flow. That's the meaning of it. So after that, I have actually added a durable with a response, wherein like setting this variable as hydration level, and this is the hierarchy of the response. Like under the body, I have a variable attribute name called level, and that has to be set as a hydration level, similar to your variable setting. Okay, this is how my expression will look like. And once that is done, here I have added another block which is called test summary. Why test summary? For every request, I might add some test cases. No, to validate that test cases, I have actually added my test summary here. So if you see, send request is having 2 different ports. One is response, which is actually used to carry forward, and the second one is like test, which is actually going to build your test cases or group your test cases under that request. Okay. And now after this durables, I have a condition. Why condition? Because if you remember, that is what we are going to build. If the water level is less than 0.60, it has to actually water the, it has actually to water the plants. If not, if you see the condition, it has 2 output ports, accept and reject. Once, if it is passing this condition, it will go ahead and click the second request and it will water the plant. If it is failing, it will go to the terminal and print something, whatever you want it to do. Okay, the terminal is similar to console. So that terminal, I have named it as don't water plant. And the condition, if you click on this button, it will actually expand it to you. Since I have set it as durable, I have given here add durable / my hydration level. That is the variable I created, should be less than or equal to 0.60. This one also you should make sure whether it is a number or a string. Okay. And if you have any doubt on this block, how to handle it, all this configuration is where what we do the work, and this information block will give you an idea how this block will actually work or perform. Okay. So once this condition is satisfied, if it is accepted, it has to go and water the plants because it is less than or equal to 60, right? But if it is greater than 60, or of course, if the condition is failing, then obviously it will not water the plant, it will stop the iteration. But if it is still less than 60, it's too dry, so it has to water the plant. It will click this pass the second request like post water the plants, and then it will go to the, I have added another 2 blocks here, like a terminal and test summary. Keep in mind that terminal and test summary are the final blocks. They don't have any output blocks, output port after that. So what is this I'm going to do is like, I'm going to print the response in the terminal, and I'm going to add a test case for all the test case or assertions which I have added to this request. So this is how it will work. If you see, if I click on this start button, you can see the flow is actually flowing through. It will come here. Okay. Now, if you see it, it didn't go through that way. Actually, it was working this way. Why it is like, if you go ahead and see this terminal, you might have, this is a, if you have a lot of terminals for different send request, you will have different terminals here. So just click on this don't water plant. Okay. If you see the water level is 77. So of course, which is greater than 0.60, right? So obviously that condition might not satisfy. It is obviously enough water. So we don't want to water the plant. So just to make, just to exhibit you to make this workflow is also running, I'll try to change this level as like 80 or something. Okay. So once you give, you have an option here, like whether it is a number or a string. I'm going to choose it as number. Okay. And I'm just going to start now. Yeah. So if you see right now, it is going this side, and my assertions like, yeah, because if we go and see this time, we will have a test summary like water the plant, this summary, test summary as well, this one as well. And if you go to the terminal and see, we have another terminal, which is water the plant, because the hydration level is 76. We gave it as 80, right? So obviously it is 76 is less than 80. So it is actually watering the plant. So this time the code might be simple, right? Whatever we saw, that JavaScript code is very simple. So you can, even if you want to write also, you can write. But person who was totally new to JavaScript and they don't want to write for any code or any assertions, and in that aspect, they can actually start building these flows, which doesn't require any programming. So that's the difference between these two. The example which I showed you is about the code one, which we saw initially. The same one we have actually tried to build in here using the flows. If you see, I haven't used any programming knowledge here. It's just a basic expression and the knowledge of every block, what every block should do. That is actually performing my work. And if you want, I have another example as well, which I got it from Carson. Just a minute. So this is actually another flow wherein like I'm going to get a list of city bikes. This is an API request. So once I click that request, it is actually, it needs to iterate this place. Like this is the hierarchy where it needs to do the iteration, and for each iteration, it should actually list me the bikes, which is actually having, like, for every free bike, if the free bike count is greater than 1, it should actually print me that detail. So that is what I have built in here. So create record block is nothing but filtering. As I said, if there is a larger array, you can just filter that. So see, if example, I have just filtered 3 records here and make it as a single record subset, like bikes and name address. These three are enough for me, and I want that to be printed in the terminal. Okay, if you see, you can actually see that how this for each is working every run. Just have a look. So this place alone will be iterated. And if the city bikes is greater than 1, I'll be seeing that in my terminal. Okay. Yeah, if you come here, this is my test summary. If I have added any test cases, that will be listed here. And if I have selected here, details of free bikes, of course, if it is greater than 1, all my free bikes listed. So these are the 3 details I selected. I want to have bike, name, and the address. So all these three details are filtered, and it is just showing me those details. So this is another example for flows. Okay. I think this is all I got it right now. So I think I'm taking much time. So going with the flow will lead you to a right way. So I just want everyone, if you're already a Postman user, just please go ahead and try that flows. So there are a lot of options coming up as well. And as I mentioned, they are doing a lot of revamping. So what else you can expect is like in future, which they actually recently launched, is like you can have your workflows in your public workspace. Right now, it's just a viewable one, but in future, they are planning to change it as an option, how you are actually forking those collections, right? The same way you can actually fork the flows built in by other people in their public workspace. You can fork it to your workspace, and then flows within flows, that is also in progress for them. They are trying to build it, and listening to web sockets and web hooks, which is also in the plan for flows. And then integrate with the persistent storage. Why persistent storage is like this? Right now, flows is like one time runner, like just a fancy thing. I can do it, but once I close it, I don't have any trace of that which is executed or not, right? So they are actually trying to work on it. And when I asked flows team about the integration of git or any other third party application, they said like, since this is a binary file, flows is a binary file, uh, integrating that to the external application will be very tedious. So they are actually trying to come up with something in future for the in-house version control for flows. And then the UI, of course, you can expect a lot of like upgrades to the UI or UX, whatever we saw for the flows. That's in the future plan. And these are the resources. I'll give you all these links. I'll paste it in the chat and try to go through that. So if you have any feedback or whatever you feel like which can be added to a feature request, feel free to add it as well. So there is a discussion link where it is like everything about flows is happening here. So this is the place. I'll provide you the link after the call, so you can just go through all of these things, and this place will give you a general idea or feedback about. And I think even you can try to contribute also if you are willing to for flows. And I think, yeah, this is all I had for today. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Pricilla. So Pricilla, following that, we have a couple of questions. So I will go through that. Sure. If the durable holds the Boolean value, right? So we have seen like a number and a string, right?
Yeah.
So if it is a Boolean value, can we able to use it condition apart from number and string? I mean, does it have Boolean feature to store it?
Boolean, of course it should. Just a minute. As such, for the conditions they are asking, right? Just a minute. So say for example, even here, if I type it as true, it will automatically ask me whether it is a true string or a Boolean.
Correct. Okay.
So Boolean is also being supported. Yeah.
So how do we specify the hierarchy?
This one, right? This one. Just a minute. You have an option for expanding this, right? So better expand this. Okay. And under this, just a minute. So here, right now I'm just clearing it. So if you have an option, once you click on this configuration, you will have an option to expand it actually. So once you expand it, it will automatically show all the fields in your response, Saravanan. So here
basically
you have
it's
an
a
option.
JSON
Exactly.
parse.
Yeah, it will automatically parse it and it will list. So based on this, you can actually select. So this is what I want. This field should be less than or equal to 1. I can just select it this way.
Okay. So, I mean, they're asking to learn, about the Postman documentations. What
About
do you
flows,
recommend?
right? For flows?
Not about Postman.
About Postman. Okay. About Postman, yeah. Even there, learning.postman.com is a very good website which they can start. And other than that, even Postman YouTube is also having a very good lot of content, I believe. So that's the best place to start, I believe. And being an active community member, you know better than me. So you're right. So they have to be in active community. And even I believe you have also done some videos with Postman. So we should.
So we can, do we have a schedule option to execute our flow?
No,
No.
not for
Okay.
now. No, not
So
for
do
now.
we have a integration with the Newman?
No, not for now. Because this is,
Yeah.
as I said, this is not a JSON file. This is going to be a binary file. So they might have, they might come up with different things, not
Yes.
the
Yes.
usual flow, but they might come up with a different idea. That's how
Yeah.
I told, even for monitoring, if you see, if you guys have used monitors, you know, right, we are actually using the in-house monitoring for Postman. We are not externally integrating with. So the same way they are trying to come up with some internal version control or something which is going to be helpful, Saravanan.
Yeah. Thank you. Maybe the questions what we got, no, it may be like a enhancements that we can expect from the Postman, if that is possible.
Exactly,
Yeah.
you're right.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Pricilla. It was a very detailed sessions about all the blocks, so what we have on the flows and how effectively we can use it, and the use case also the very good one.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'll
so
try to put those use cases in the public workspace and I'll try to share it later.
Definitely. So let's move to the quiz part now. So yes, Manish, you can go forward.
Yeah, thank you, Priscilla. Thank you, Snow. So let me quickly share my screen for the quiz. Okay, so hope leaderboard is visible and everyone is ready with their mobile or desktop or from wherever they want. Okay, so let me start. Okay, so I guess 68%. Let's see. Yes. So ready for next question, guys. There you go. So this shows that how already audience were during the presentation. Okay. Okay, again 74 and 26. I believe 74. Okay. Yeah. Still people have some confusion in it. Let's see. False. Okay. Terminal. That is the correct answer. Okay, guys. So final question for this session. There you go. Okay, 95% true. That is the correct answer. So hope we all are ready to see the leaderboard now. There you go. Okay, cool. So we have a change in leaderboard now. Thank you everyone.
Yeah.
Over to you, Sarvana. Yep.
Thank you, Pricilla. I can see the comments from the audience, so like awesome sessions, great presentations, right? So kudos to you. Wish you good luck for the upcoming sessions. Thank you
so
very
for
much,
this
Pricilla.
opportunity. Thank you so much. I would like to thank all of you for your wonderful work. Keep doing and keep supporting us. And if they have any more questions regarding this, no, Saran, they can actually.
I will collect. I will come back to you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Yeah. Bye bye.
Thank you, guys. So we'll be ending this sessions and we will be starting the next one, which is Jonas about the codeless automation again. Okay, so I will start the next session. Please go back to the lobby and join the session. Okay. So meanwhile, please feel free to share the all the. We have a contest going on, right? So please feel free to share the your photos and your comments and key takeaways across LinkedIn as well, the Twitter area. Okay. Thanks everyone. We'll be seeing you on the next session. Thanks, Pricilla.
Yeah.